Hey, what's happening, YouTube? It's your boy D. I'm back with another video. So excited to be on here. You know, it's Sunday. Sunday is my day. It's kind of rest and relaxation, but I tend to have a little bit more time on Sundays. So I tend to get on here and try to give you some good, valuable, personable content. So here's another Sunday. I'm able to do that. As you can see, I have a guest. But if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for locking in with me. Thank you for watching. And I hope you watch to the end. A little about me. I'm not going to go too long in my beginning because I have a guest, of course. But I was raised in the religion cult, JW, or Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's the start. And later on in life, I began to leave that religion, and I started my career in law enforcement and also into the military. So I'm currently in the military, and that's how I met this young lady right here. And as you can see, Navy, we're in the Navy, but we wanted to, we met, and our stories kind of aligned the way we were raised. And I thought it would be a great idea, not just to share my story as I've been doing, but also to share somebody else's story and have a different insight on things. You guys have my insight as an older guy in his 30s, have a career, family, but have a younger mindset, a younger version, a female mindset when it comes to this religion and also the military, giving her insight on being a young lady in the military. So I hope this brings you guys some value. I hope this brings you guys some wisdom and some insight into our stories. So without further ado, this is my friend Broussard. We go by last names in the military. So it's my friend Broussard. Tell us a little about yourself, Broussard. Tell us a little about how you got here.
Hey, well, I'm Broussard. Hey, y'all. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, the dirty South. I'm 20 years old. Right after high school, I decided to kind of branch out, get away from my city. I moved to Boston, so I was in Boston for 2 years in a little teaching situation. And I feel like that's really when I just kind of really started to find myself for real and just understand what it is that I really like and what I believed and what I stood for. Finally just having the opportunity to be away from family and not really be so ingrained in what other people thought about me because I was just on my own for the first time. That's ultimately when I made the decision that I wanted to join the Navy. I kind of been exploring different branches of the military really since I was in high school, so it wasn't a new thought, but it was just a more prominent thought. So I ended up hitting up a recruiter and went to the recruiting office literally the next day, and automatically I was just like, yo, this is the branch for me. And shortly after that, a couple of months later, I was in boot camp. It's been, everything else has been history since.
So when did you graduate high school? 2022. Okay, so then you started your process of the military in 2024 or 2025?
Yeah, 2024.
Okay, so you started your process same time, probably same time I did. Okay. So how old are you now? 20. 20. Okay. And we met because of the military and because of a particular job in the military, which I'm going to make a separate video on my personal take on the job that we chose, but we are going to touch on it with this video right here. You want to explain what our rate is in the military?
Yes, so RP is Religious Program Specialist. And our job is just kind of to either meet people's religious beliefs, whatever the case that may be. So we kind of have to be trained in all religions, not just whatever we believe in. Our job is also to counsel people. So if somebody is going through a tough time, we are the people that they come to when they are in need.
gonna tell you guys why that's so ironic. Why is it so crazy that we're both RPs or religious personal assistants? And it's basically the title of this video, how I found another JW or ex-JW in the military. So, do you want to give them your background of how you grew up or what religion, quote unquote, you grew up as?
So yeah, I grew up with the Jehovahs, the Jehovah Witnesses. My grandmother, aka, you guys gonna hear me referring to her a lot as my nana. That's what I call my grandmother. So my nana, she was, diehard Jehovah Witness. And for me, I feel like I didn't necessarily like get the worst of the worst, because mainly like my parents got that, or my mom. But my experience was just kind of like, as a young child, I'm getting woke up in the morning. We're going to these long ass Can I cuss here?
Let you go. Go ahead.
We're going to these long ass meetings. Like, you know anything about being a J-Dub, the little Kingdom Hall things that happen on weekends or whenever that was. You're there from literally 7 to 3, 4 o'clock. No reason. So my experience was just kind of like always being in the Kingdom Hall.
Reverse a little bit.
Okay.
So I've told people when I was in boot camp, one particular person in particular, a friend of mine, that he wants to become a pastor. So we had different conversations about religion and stuff like that. And everybody that kind of gets to know me knows that I'm not really religious. And you get to know why we became close, right? So I think I was talking to him or somebody else around the time that she came to this base, and she said she overheard me saying I was a Jehovah's Witness or ex-Jehovah's Witness. I don't really remember the conversation, and I don't remember anybody listening, but people do listen, people do ear hustle, people just do people stuff, right? So she remembers that, I don't remember that. And then one day we were walking back from the schoolhouse that we were working at, and she said something about holidays or Christmas that she didn't celebrate growing up. And so now I start ear hustling. Now I start thinking like, what person don't celebrate Christmas? You know what I mean? Even though I didn't celebrate Christmas, right? And she just kept sounding like a Jehovah's Witness. Just the things she was saying just sounded just too familiar. So she said something, I can't remember the exact expression that she used, but I was like, were you a Jehovah's Witness? Like, did you go up a Jehovah's Witness? And she was like, yeah. And then she kept saying whatever she was saying. And when she said yeah, I was like, oh no, I gotta find out more. Like, I gotta find out what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because she's in the same place I'm at in the military, right? And those of you that know, we ain't not supposed to be here as Jehovah's Witnesses or actual Witnesses now, but that's not in the cards for us. And for those of you that don't know, this cult or this religion is, for lack of a better term, anti-law enforcement, anti-military. If you watch my other videos, you hear me talking about it. So for me to actually meet somebody that grew up the way I grew up I thought would never happen, to be honest with you. And this early in my career, I for sure didn't think that was going to happen. So it's kind of like an aha moment for me. So I think she asked me, like, were you a Jehovah's Witness or something like that? You asked me, and I was like, yeah, I grew up that way. And then we kind of left it alone. Like, we really didn't talk about it no more. But as my channel starts growing, as I'm starting to have more viewers and more subscribers, I wanted to bring you guys better content. And I thought that I come with a better story. Not just see my face on camera, not just hear what I have to say, but again, having a different viewpoint. Especially for those that are not too familiar with the religion. I don't want you to just think, oh, this is D's perspective. No, this is other people's perspective as well. So with you growing up, now when we say growing up, are you saying from like a baby? Are you saying from like 5 years old? So what age do you remember like you started going to the kingdom?
From what I can remember, I was probably like 5, 6.
Okay. And I have to thank her because she, before we even got on the camera, she even called her grandmother, who was heavily indoctrinated in the religion. And how long did she say that she was in the religion?
50 years.
50 years. So if that was the case, I'm assuming that you were kind of like almost as a baby. She says 5, she remembers, but as a baby, like 5 is young enough. Your whole life, pretty much, she's only 20, right? So with that being said, you're still young. What made you realize it wasn't for you? What made you leave?
Well, it kind of was just kind of like a slow, like, pull away because, you know, it kind of got to the point where I wasn't really going to, like, the Kingdom Hall with her anymore because I was kind of old enough to just be like, you know, nah, I kind of got other stuff going. And also, I started being able to, like, hang around other people. So, like, my cousin, I would go to church with her, and I would be like, boy, like, I actually can relate to this a lot more. I feel more comfortable here. I feel like I can actually listen to the sermons that are being, like, presented. Like, it was, like, coming, like, and I was being able to receive it better.
Okay.
And, like, it was actually points in time where I would actually cry, like, hearing the service. That never happened to me. I was never touched by anything that they were talking about at the Kingdom Hall. It just all felt so, just, like, fake and forced and just, like, weird. Like, I never could relate to anything being said at the Kingdom Hall.
Okay.
I just started to realize, like, okay, dang, it's really not me or, like, my lack of interest or, like, lack of attention. It's really that I just don't agree, nor can relate, nor in touch by anything that's being said at the Kingdom Hall.
Okay. So, you couldn't really relate. As you were growing up, you actually had a difference in being raised compared to other Jehovah's Witnesses growing up because you actually got to experience other religions or another religion where a lot of us, we didn't, that was it. Like, this was the box and you better not step out that box. So you were actually fortunate to see a different side. So you kind of blessed in that way. Growing up as a JW, Jehovah's Witness, and for those of you that are watching that are not too familiar with the religion, I want you kind of to tune in because this is still going on today. People are still in this cult, in this religion. So there are people still dealing with the things that we talk about. There's still people dealing with that and trying to get out of it. They're confused on the doctrines. So we were just fortunate. You know what I mean? I've been out since I was like 19, but mentally, some things I still kind of stick with me, right? Just because I was in for so long, and both my parents were in, so it kind of just indoctrinated me, almost like my DNA. Like that's all I knew, right? So there's certain things that it was harder for me to kind of break. You know what I mean? There were certain things that I thought that I was doing the right thing. I thought I was helping people, and maybe some cases I was, but I was also doing damage to myself trying to help somebody else, right? So, and I realized that. I'm glad I realized that at a pretty early age. So I'm happy that she was able to break free at an early age. Let me ask you this, Bessard. Growing up, there were certain things that you didn't really believe. What were your struggles? Like, what were your struggles growing up as a JW? What were your struggles like going to the Kingdom Hall or knocking on people's doors or just being in school as a JW? Like, were you the kind of kid that was like, all right, at school I'm doing this, and then when I get home I'm doing this, or like, were you like full-fledged into it?
I feel like, fortunately, no, I didn't have to be like full-fledged into it because it's kind of like I said, by the time I was born, I feel like my nana had like calmed down just a wee bit. Like I feel like she was still going to Kingdom Halls and this and the third, but she wasn't so heavily indulgent like how she raised my mother and her siblings. Like, you know, as you heard her on the phone, she was the like her siblings or had to like, you know, go door to door and make a certain meeting hours per month and stuff like that. So they were really just like in there. I never had to do any of that. And me personally, I was never going to do any of that. So it's kind of like,
okay.
I'm just saying, I've always been very like overly like opinionated and kind of like, I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it. Like I've always kind of been like that. So it's just kind of like, they was gonna have a rough one. Because I feel like honestly, I was more heavily into that, one thing about me, I'm gonna openly be myself, and I'm being honest, I'm the exact opposite of what a Jehovah Witness even stands for.
Okay.
Like, honestly,
Okay. I'm trying to bring it all together. So your grandmother, she wasn't raised a Jehovah's Witness, right?
No, she wasn't raised. She got introduced to it by, I don't know if that was her uncle, her brother, whatever the case, but I think his name was like Arthur.
Okay, so
And
she been in, how long she said she been in? 50 years, but she wasn't raised in it. So for 50 years, she was a Jehovah's Witness. Before that, what was her religion? Do you remember?
Baptist.
Baptist. So she went from being a Baptist to joining the Jehovah's Witness religion. I know, and I could be wrong, but I know like in 1975, that was a year that was very popular with Jehovah's Witnesses because they said the end was coming, the end was coming. So a lot of people were leaving their religions to become Jehovah's Witnesses because they started believing what their family members that were already in. That's what happened with my grandparents. On my mom's side, they were, I don't know if they were Baptists, but I know that, they would go to church every once in a while. But when one of my great aunts said, hey, the end is coming, they switched over and went to become a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm not sure that was what happened to your grandmother. But I know 1975 was a major year that people did do that, right? And especially in the South, there was a gentleman on YouTube. I watched his videos, and he was explaining the same thing as with the South. A lot of blacks, in particular, became Jehovah's Witnesses because they felt that it gave them almost equal opportunity with whites in the South. They both can become elders. They both become ministerial servants. They were kind of at the same level. There was no segregation, right? So a lot of blacks, especially in the South, where there was some segregation, it kind of equaled the playing field. So a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses way back in the day, or black people became Jehovah's Witnesses. You guys can do your research. Don't just take my word for it. But became Jehovah's Witnesses because it kind of equaled the playing field. They never seen a white male call a black man brother. So when they started seeing that, they were like, "Oh, we're more equal." So a lot of them became that. So you guys do your research. Don't just take my word for it. But I have a strong sense of my family in the South because my mom was born in North Carolina. So I have a lot of family in North Carolina and Virginia. And you're from Louisiana, so that's deep South. But a lot of that mentality is still there. We want to switch directions a little bit with some things. I wanted to ask you, with having that background, let me ask you this first. You left JW and you went to another religion, right? Before you came into the military. And is it right before you graduated high school or like during high school?
So, actually...
So this is kind of powerful, y'all, so you want to tune into this.
I got baptized while I was still in high school, actually. So it was like my senior year.
So she got baptized your senior year, right?
Or maybe that summer after I got...
Okay.
I graduated.
But did you get baptized as a JW?
No. I did not.
Okay.
Baptized as a Christian,
undenominational. So you grew up a Jehovah's Witness, raised a Jehovah's Witness. Around your senior year, maybe a little bit after, you pretty much said, throw the peace on, and got baptized, but not as Jehovah's Witness.
Because I had never been baptized before.
So you had, even though you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness and had all them years of being, could have been fully indoctrinated, in a short period of time, you said, this ain't for me, I want to go this direction. What was that trigger in your mind that you did that?
Well, it's just simply because I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the things that religion had to offer. Like, I kind of always felt like it was just very, like, cultish. Like, I hear the jokes people would make about Jehovah's Witnesses, not even knowing that had anything to do with me. But I knew that, hey, I cannot sit there and believe and worship a religion where it was just like, you can't even celebrate holidays. Like, that was no, like, thinking about how I wanted to raise a family, how I wanted to have kids, and I want them to be able to have Christmas and be able to celebrate their birthdays and this and the third. You know what I'm saying? It really sucked to have to, like, I never had a Christmas tree. I never woke up on Christmas morning and there was Christmas trees under the tree. It was not even a tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, I don't want that for my kids.
Okay.
So I knew that was never going to be something that was in my future.
Okay. I mean, I think there's, you know, somebody that's born in, that was baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, and hearing that, like, yeah, I grew up this way, but pretty much grew up to Chris Brown deuces and got baptized in a whole other religion is kind of powerful to me. That transition is kind of crazy to me, but at the same time, it makes sense because it's like, for you to do that, it means you were tapped out of that religion for a while. Like, you were just going through the motions just to go through the motions to please everybody else, but now you took a chance to say, I'm gonna please me, and I think this is my real relationship with God. So that's pretty impressive to do at a young age. With that being said, like, after you did that, how did you feel? Think about yourself, your decision.
I feel great, honestly. Like, I mean, I kind of felt like more closer to what I actually believed in and what I stood for, and it just felt really genuine and like true. Like, anytime I was there, like in a Christian church, I just felt it's better, you know.
How did you feel? You say you felt better. How did you feel compared to being in a kingdom?
Even though I felt like I was just there, I really felt like I was. That's the best way I explain it. Like, I was just there. Like, I felt like nothing that they said resonated with me. Nothing really soaked in. Nothing like touched me. I was just kind of there. Just. Is it time for us to go yet? Yeah. Like, I feel like I literally just go to make my nana happy. She just wanted somebody to go with her, so I said, okay, well, I'll go with you. Pack my little lunch bag. Be there all day, but it's really just the act of love that I took from my nana versus me actually wanting to be there.
Okay. And, you know, going from that to the military, even though you gave your introduction on the screen, what made you, because, I mean, like I said before, like, growing up, how we grew up, you know, a lot of times, a lot of the publications, they always show, like, Armageddon, they show, like, military, like, coming in and busting through the door, and you know, they talk about stories, people getting arrested, and, you know, concentration camps, and all that kind of stuff. Like, what made you say, like, hey, I want to do this for my life, at least at this point in your life?
I mean, honestly, I don't know, I just feel like I've always been the type of person to, like, kind of run towards the fire anyway. Okay. So it's kind of like, even if it was everything that the movies painted out to be, like, I just felt like I needed that type of excitement and that purpose in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a part of me was okay with the fact of, like, say, because I always talk about World War III and stuff. Like, I mean, okay, if it comes, it comes. And, I mean, I just wanted to know that I lived my life serving a purpose.
Gotcha.
And I feel like being in the military does, like, give you a lot of purpose.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel you have more purpose now than you did knocking on doors? Yeah.
I feel like if I'm going to be a part of some type of community code, whatnot, like, this is what to be.
Okay.
You feel me? Like.
Okay. So, let me ask you this. So, you left that religion, JW. You left, you found a church family that you feel comfortable with, right? You get baptized, you join the military. When you were at the recruiter, let's fast forward a little bit, when you were at the recruiter, once you made your decision, what made you choose the rate we're in as an RP?
I just felt like,
coming from the background, like, cause let me pause you for a second. When I told my family, like, my parents just looked at me. They were just like, So you're not gonna be a Jehovah's Witness, but you're gonna do this, like some religious programs, but you're gonna do this, but you're how ironic is that? So, but what made you choose that? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell them why I chose it, but I want you to go first.
Okay. I feel like overall, I'm really good with just like people and people coming to me for like comfort and stuff. Like I feel like I'm just that friendly, like bubbly personality that's just like, you know, you can come and talk to me.
Yeah.
And from what my recruiter explained, because my recruiter actually just pointed it out for me. He was just like, you know, I know you have it, because my original interest was hospital coordinator.
Okay.
So it was hospital coordinator, and then it's like RP was like number 2, number 3 on the list, right? But he was just like, honestly, like, I really don't even point this out for people, but RP, I just could see you being an RP. It's a really rare rate. I don't really know your beliefs, but I just feel like you are that person that people want to go to. And I was looking at it, and I literally just felt called to, like, be that. But I was still stuck on, like, hospital coordinator. But I think I was, like, 1 point off from even being eligible for hospital coordinator. But guess what I did? It approved to be RP. RP. And I was like, okay, that's the one. And my recruiter literally had to pull some strings, because I think it was, like, only, like, 1 spot left or whatever the case may be, to, like, hold that for, like, that group or whatnot. And so.
Okay.
And then it also came with a bonus that I wasn't even expecting.
The money always talk.
I wasn't even expecting it. Like, I was expecting 0 and ended up getting 10K.
Okay. For me, mine was a little different. If you know me, I like to research. So before I invest my money, before I invest my time, I'm gonna do my homework. So for me, I Googled the best rates in the Navy. And after I Googled the best rates in the Navy, I YouTube University. I YouTube the best rates in the Navy. So I think I put the top 5 rates, the top 10 rates, and RP kept coming up. So I said, all right, let me do a little more research, do a little more digging. And my recruiter told me about Navy Cool, where we can go in, put a rate in, and then find out what the school is, how long the schooling is, what the rate entails. For those of you that don't know, a rate is the job for the Navy. So like the Army, the Marines, it's called MOS. So basically it's like our MOS, but we call it rate. And so I looked at it, I'm like, okay, helping people, counseling people, giving people insight. Also, we have 2 sides of our rate. So we have like the clerical side, where we're sending emails, helping people, baptisms, funerals, people getting married. But we help the chaplain with that. We also have we call it the green side, which is like we're the bodyguards for the chaplain. So when the chaplain goes out with the Marines, the Navy SEALs around the field, we protect the chaplain, right? So we have the M4 or M9, we have the bulletproof vests, and we're out there in the field making sure our sailors or soldiers or Marines get their spiritual, what's the right word for it? Basically meets their spiritual needs. Right, so we're not the ones that are preaching to them. We're not the ones that are sharing the word, but we're the ones that protect the person, whether it be male or female. Give that spiritual insight to our military personnel. So again, we have 2 sides. Me personally, I'm assigned to a ship. You're assigned to a ship as well. So we're to the blue side. We're gonna be actually stationed in the same base or the same base, same town. But I just want to share that for you guys that don't know about that kind of stuff. Let's see. What are you happy with your decision from leaving, or how we grew up, leaving Jehovah's Witnesses to now? Are you happy? Did you think you made the right decision, or do you wish you would go back?
No, 1,000%. I'm very happy. I feel like I'm able to be like who I actually am, because there's a lot of things that I indulge in now that would not be acceptable upon J-Dubs.
Okay. So you feel a lot better since you left. Okay, and you're happy with your decision in the military?
I am.
Okay. I did want to talk about another topic. So this week, or this past week, right? Let me reverse one second. As a Jehovah's Witness, when I grew up, blood was a big issue. What I mean by blood is giving blood or receiving blood, mostly receiving blood, right? So let's say, for instance, God forbid you're in a car accident and you need blood, right? Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to accept a blood transfusion, right? Now, back in the day, like early 90s, maybe even before that, the blood issue, we call it the blood issue, you couldn't accept anything, right? In the early 2000s, they made it a thing where you can accept certain fractions, like either red blood cells or white blood cells, something like that, or certain fragments of the blood you're allowed to take. It's your option, right? You don't have to totally say no to it, right? But when I was growing up, originally, you used to carry a card that said no blood. Mm-hmm. You remember the card? Okay. So my mom, it was like a little, almost like a wallet-sized card or like a business card, and it had like a sign that said no blood, and it had like a little cup of blood with a red circle with a line through it. So basically, something happened to me and my brother, car accident, whatever happens, and we needed blood. Yeah, it would say no blood, so the doctors and the medical personnel would know not to give us any blood. And if you think I'm lying, do your research. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. And why I'm bringing this topic up is because for years, I never gave blood. And I started doing my research, right? And I started reading certain scriptures in the Bible. I'm like, the Bible doesn't say don't give blood. The Bible says don't consume blood. And what it meant by that was, back in the day, when they killed an animal for sacrifice, they didn't want you eating the blood. They want you to drain the blood out before you ate it, right? So you weren't eating raw meat. That's basically what they're saying. And because blood was considered sacred, right? So once I understood that, once I did some more research, I was like, okay, so I can give blood, I can save lives. This is crazy. The mindset I had all these years for over 2 decades that I could have been helping people because I'm healthy. I have also a O negative blood type, so I'm a rare blood type that actually can help people. Not that I felt selfish, but I was like, damn, I should do my research earlier. But this week alone, what did we do?
We gave blood.
We gave blood. It was my first. Well, how many times you give blood?
No, this is my first time.
It's your first time?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I might have passed out, but I got this today.
Okay, yeah. So let's go back to that. So it was an incentive. I'm not gonna say the incentive it was for us to give blood this week. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna put it out there. But we both gave blood, right? So I didn't know it was her first time. It was my first time. And I almost walked out because she went before me. And tell me your story. Tell me your story.
So, going in, it was like in a little van at that. So I go into the van, sign a little paperwork, yada yada yada. Get in the like little chair thing, lay back. They start hooking me up. Put this something on like a cotton swab, like that little stuff.
Yeah,
like So it looked like blood to me. I was like, well, they put your blood right there. But clean you up and they stick me. They start a little process. So the view that I'm looking at, I could literally see my blood being drained. That's already kind of tripping me out. And I can also see other people getting their blood drained, which is also still tripping me out. So I'm like, okay, let me just look up. I'm good. I'm like 5 minutes into it. 5 minutes into it, I start getting hot. I'm hot. I'm like, what happened to the AC? Like, what is going on? I'm hot. And the dude that was like, doing my blood and stuff like that, he said it would only last like about 5 minutes. I'm looking at my time. I'm looking at the clock. It's been 5 minutes. Like, hurry up. So the lady comes by and she's like, oh, like, are you okay? And I was like, it's hot. Like, I'm getting hot. And so the next thing I know, I'm laying down, like my eyes is closed. I open my eyes, they putting ice packs on my back, on my head, and they asking me, "Am I okay?" I'm like, yeah, like I'm somebody tapping my head. I'm like, what's going on? So apparently I just kind of like went out for just a second, came back, and they was icing me up and stuff, and they immediately took the thing out of me, and it was like, okay, you gave enough to like, for it to be, good. So
Yeah, so I was after her. So when I started seeing the little things like beep 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 beep, and they come with the ice pack, I was like, man, shoot, I'm about to walk out of this little RV. I was, and she wasn't the only one. It was like two other people that was going through the same thing, and I'm just like, oh, nah, I can't do it.
Apparently, we wasn't like prepared to get flooded.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Told me that you wasn't prepared. I said, oh.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was like, yo, this is the first time too. I was like, I don't know about this, but I did. You know what I'm saying? I manned up to it when I did it. But I couldn't do it for years. I couldn't help people for years. You know what I'm saying? But it was mentality that, blood's so precious, and I didn't do my research. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying to y'all, when y'all in these organizations or in these religions, they tell you, don't do this, don't do that, do your research. You know what I'm saying? Make that decision for yourself. Don't just go by somebody's, whatever they say. You know what I'm saying? Do your own homework and make your own decision and base it on your own research. Just base it on somebody else's research. That's why I say, hey, don't just take what I say, but, do your research. Because if I would have done my research earlier, I would have gave probably earlier. I remember her saying that, by us giving them blood, we're like saving like 3 lives or something like that. So I was like, damn, like I could have been, all these years, I could have been giving blood. I know I did plasma. I have done plasma, so they said it's very similar. But I never gave blood. So it's her first time, my first time. So, yeah, so I gave the plasma, but I know giving blood's a little different. But actually, blood's actually better because it's shorter. Blood's like 5 to 10 minutes, and plasma's like 1 hour, so it's not as bad. Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to also talk about could you see yourself ever going back to that religion?
Fuck
Damn. That was heavy. That was heavy, y'all. And why is that? I think I know the reason, but I want for the viewers. As a female, as a younger person, why do you say that?
It's just entirely too culty, too many rules, and I don't feel like you take all that to be a good person or to worship God. Absolutely. I feel like all you really got to do is just be a good person in life and treat people how you would like to be treated.
Golden rule.
They don't take all the extra stuff too.
Okay. So with that being said, I did want to talk about one other thing before we finish our video off, right? So with you being young and enjoying life and enjoying the military and being a person that when you strive for something and you set in your mind this is what you want to do, like you said earlier, you said, how did you put it? They would have had a hard time with me.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to forcing you with certain things with religion, I want to talk about you and you like ladies. Correct?
Right.
Okay. So, how was that? I'm trying to put it delicately, y'all. I'm just trying to put it delicately. I'm not trying to get screamed out in the comments.
Yeah, basically, I'm in the LGBTQ, the alphabet.
I'm
in the alphabet.
She's in the alphabet. Let her say it off like that. How was that growing up? Having those feelings and stuff like that, and growing up and going to be a Jehovah's Witness and knowing how they view things about that. Because that had to be kind of different.
Yeah, it was interesting because I kind of knew ever since I was younger, like, anytime we was playing house, I always wanted to be the daddy and stuff. So it was kind of like, I've been kind of new. I had my little dolls who would kind of make them sit You know, like.
Okay.
But it got to a point like I came out during my junior year of high school.
Okay. Okay.
And that's to everybody, to my mom, to my nana, my uncle, all of them.
Okay, so being that your grandmother was in the religion for 50 or has been for 50 years, how does she take it?
So I actually told them on my birthday.
You told me your birthday.
We were driving to we were taking me out to eat. So I was in the back seat, and it was my nana and my uncle. And I was just like, I got something to tell y'all. Didn't even wait till we got to the restaurant. I said it in the car. Or I said it in the car on the way back, actually, I think.
Okay, so you made sure you got the good food and all that kind of stuff first.
Like, I ain't about to tell y'all to tell you anything. I'm about to eat, and I'm about to eat real good, and then I'm going to tell y'all.
There you go. So, okay.
I was just like, I have a girlfriend.
Damn,
I have a girlfriend, and I am gay.
Wow.
And I think I proceeded to like show them a picture of like me and my girlfriend.
Oh, you brave. You're brave.
It was just like, so it was kind of, so my nana's a teacher, so her first reaction was just like, oh, like, you know, a lot of kids in my school call themselves gay and liking women and stuff like that. Like, it's kind of just like a phase, like we're trending on going or something.
She's a Jehovah's Witness now, go ahead.
And then my uncle sent a picture, and he kind of said something very offensive, like offended me, but he was just like, oh, like, you're kind of basically still straight because the woman that you're like dating looks so much like a man.
Okay.
So that was like, oof.
So like, did you have those? So you had those inclinations or those feelings even when you were going to chemo and stuff like that. How was it like? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like it wasn't really that prominent because during the time that I was going to Kingdom Hall, like I wasn't really dating or had a love life or anything. Like I was younger and I didn't really, start dipping and dabbling into that. So I really, just started exploring because even just growing up, I feel like it was very like anytime I went somewhere, my nana had to know like who, where, they had to meet the person, all this. So I really didn't get a chance to like go anywhere. So my life, I feel like, started a little bit later than everybody else's.
So why couldn't you go anywhere?
My nana was just like real strict in that manner. Like, you don't need to be going out to the skating rink, to the movies. What's in there for you? We could watch a movie at home.
Okay.
Like,
so she was very kind of strict on you. Did she let you socialize with other Jehovah's Witness kids? Like, was she a little more loose with that or no?
I didn't really know like Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, I feel like when I went to Kingdom Hall, it was like adults, like people I just didn't know. Like,
okay, so like when I grew up, every congregation that I came in, it was always a lot of kids. Like from New York to Pennsylvania, like it was always a group of us. It was always a gang of us, and we all looked out for each other. So I'm glad she kind of brought that up. Even though I asked the question, some congregations don't have a lot of young people. Some congregations, like she said, it was mostly older people. So if you're keeping your children in a box or your grandkids in a box for years and there's no outlet, there's no sleepovers, there's no, hanging out, going to the skating rink, going to the movies, going to play basketball, going to whatever, especially young ladies do. Guys a little different. We do, more active. Girls sometimes are not as active, depending on the girl. But if they're not doing stuff, they're not having fun, what is there to do, right? And you came from an area is there a lot going on in your town? Yeah, not at all. So there's not a lot going on. She can't go nowhere, and there's no young people. So what do most people do when they get of age? They kind of wild out a little bit. Do you wild out? So I had young people. There was some stuff for me to do, and I still wild out. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the nature of the beast when it comes to being growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. A lot of us, when we get the opportunity, we start going to clubs, we start going to lounges, we start, you know, possibly smoking, you know, drinking more heavily than other people. You know, I grew up in a household that they didn't curse. So the only time I really heard that was from other family members that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to family, in school, I heard it all the time, right? But I'm talking about my personal life. I'm not sure about her, but so when you get to that stage in your life where you can kind of be on your own, you go to the max. I want to drink the most. I want to smoke the most. I want to go out the most. I want to, you know, you start doing stuff that you're like, people outside that thought they knew you, like, oh, I didn't think they did this. And a lot of my friends, I surpassed them in drinking. I surpassed them in doing certain things because I was so bottled up for so many years that everything kind of came out at one time. And I want to experience everything. And a lot of people get hooked on drugs and become alcoholics and stuff like that because there's no easing it into it. Like, I know a lot of my friends, their parents, not to say it was right, but, you know, let them sip at 16, 17, 18. So, one, when they get to that age, they're not like, okay, it's just alcohol. You know what I mean? Like, or they let them do certain things. So, it wasn't so crazy. Like, I'm not condoning it, but let's say they let their 16, 17-year-old kids have sleepovers with their girlfriend, whatever. You know, things happen. But what I'm saying is, by the time somebody like me, somebody that was raised the way I was raised, gets to 18, 19, and they get a car, they get their own job, and possibly get an apartment, now they're looking for anything that walk. You know what I'm saying? Woman-wise, and it could be the same thing for females with guys, or females with females. You know what I mean? Like, they're so bottled up with just, we're gonna say energy, for lack of a better term, bottled up with energy, that they just wild out to the extreme. And I've even had friends of mine that work witnesses. They're like, why do you constantly want to do this, or why you constantly want to do that, or why you constantly want to go, like, you never chill. And I felt like I had to catch up. I feel like they were doing stuff for years, and now I had to catch up. They were going to the movies by themselves or with their girlfriends since middle school, and now I'm trying to play catch up. And there is no catching up, really. It's just you lost out on that time. You know what I'm saying? She was fortunate at an early age that she was like, this ain't for me. I realize this is some BS. And she made her own decision, which, excuse me, is very commendable. I was kicked out, right? I didn't really have the option of kind of leaving. I kind of just did my own thing, got caught up in the mix, and I was kicked out. Yeah, I was kicked out. Yeah, I was kicked out. You gotta watch my other video. That's the video that's, you know, the numbers been shooting up. But yeah, so I was kicked out. So it's a little bit different for me, right? But knowing what I know now, being kicked out, you know, I lost everything. I lost my relationship with my family. And sometimes I say it's a good and bad thing. And the reason why I say it's a good thing is because I see their true colors. I feel it's a bad thing because I feel like, especially being a young adult, I feel like everybody needs family. Everybody needs, you know, a solid father, a solid mother. But I feel it's a good thing because I see people's true colors. You know, I don't care what religion my sons choose. I don't care what religion they just decide to be. If they want to be Muslim, I'm still going to love them. If they decide to be Presbyterian, Seventh-day Adventist, or atheist, I'm still going to love them. You know what I'm saying? My love doesn't stop because they want to choose a certain religion. They're my children. You know what I mean? And that's how everybody should be. We know that's not that in our religion. But, you know, I'm thankful that at a young age I was able to kind of break free, and I'm not gonna lie, there's still some things that I feel like mentally they may have a hold on me. Certain things, certain times, like sometimes Sundays, I feel like I should be doing something in some kind of religious place. And that could be just, I need a spiritual home. I don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going through my journey. What about yourself? Yours a little different because you already found your church or whatever. But with me, I'm still trying to figure it all out. But I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing, because you didn't have to do that. So I appreciate you. Um, you know, for those of you that are watching, I hope that her story, you know, my story, I hope that would help somebody, whether they're older or younger, whether they're actively in this religion or they're not, or even looking to get into the military, the mindset of that. I hope that we can help some kind of way. It's always love all the time, always respect. Thank you, Bashar. Again, thank you. And hopefully we can do this again. I'll see you at the top. One love.